To the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Now, on our interview segment this morning, we want to talk about education in Kenya. We want to understand the state of the education sector in Kenya, and to help us answer some of those questions as well as give us suggestions, we have Mr. Erastus Mudhure Kyogo. He's the chairman of the National Education Board. Now, remember, any questions, any suggestions, any comments you might have for him or Mr. Mutaginjao, 22422 is the number you need to send your SMSs to, or you can get us on Twitter at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag is a Power Breakfast. Mr. Njao, take it away.
Good morning, Mr. Kyogo.
Good morning.
Maybe you should start by telling us who you are and why you are there. Why are you the chairman of the National Education Board? Where do you come from?
My name is Erastus Mudhure Kyogo. I hail from Meru County, and I'm now the chairman of the National Education Board, which was established in 2013. And before I became the chairman of the National Education Board, I was an educationist, professionally and by practice. And to become the national chairman, I had to undergo a rigorous interview conducted by a selection panel. There were very many candidates for the chairmanship and very many candidates for membership of the National Education Board. I happened to be the tops, and that's how I was appointed the chairman of the National Education Board.
So what does the board do? What's the function and role of the board?
The role of the board is mainly to advise the Cabinet Secretary, State Department of Education, the education sector on matters of education policy. We are also required by law to write the annual status report of the status of education in Kenya. We are supposed to advise the Cabinet Secretary on his collaborative role with the TSC, the Teacher Service Commission, the Quality Assurance and Standards Council, and other organs that deal with education. Apart from that, as a board, we are supposed to regulate our work and receive any requests from the Cabinet Secretary and the State Department of Education on anything that we want the National Education Board to perform. So in a nutshell, that's what the National Education Board deals with. Advising the Cabinet Secretary.
When you wake up in the morning as a board, first of all, does the board meet regularly? Or every day? Or what do you do?
No, the board by law meets not less than 3 times in a year. But you might find that education is not like any other sector. So we tend to meet more often than probably other boards. For example, we meet every other 2 months. And for example, our last meeting was 2 weeks ago. Before that, our meeting was in December. Before that, we had a meeting in September. And so it varies on the need. As the need arises, we meet. But we are not full-time employees of the ministry. The board has a secretariat which does the everyday work.
Well, we would want to imagine that you're superfluous.
I beg your pardon?
That's why without you, the election function can go on. Suppose they scrapped you. Suppose not, you are not there.
And then there will be no National Education Board.
Suppose it's not there, the board is not there. Will the ministry not function?
It will not be a ministry which is fulfilling its mandate fully. Because if you look at the Basic Education Act, after the preamble, it is the establishment of the National Education Board, which has major functions in terms of oversight, in terms of policy, and in terms of advisory. And therefore, those 3 things will not enable the ministry to function without the board.
If you are there, why then was a committee set up to look at school fees in terms of policy, which was chaired by former minister, assistant minister?
Yeah, I think you need to realize what the background was. One of the first
was it created out of your advice?
Yes, it might have been, but it was not like that. Let me explain. The first advisor to the cabinet secretary was the school fees across the spectrum. But come last year, there was a lot of pressure from the parents that some institutions were charging a lot of fees. And I think it went to the highest levels of the government to such an extent that the cabinet secretary was told to set up a committee to look at the fees. Although we had advised that we look at the whole structure from primary, this was set for secondary only. So the Kiremi committee was purely on secondary education. And that's what it was. Through the public pressure, through the need to bring into control the charges levied by institutions, and so that the Kenyan child can access education. That was the bit. We could have easily done it, but we lacked the staff. At that time, we also lacked the finances. We'd just been established. And so there was a need to have someone who could do it.
There is a report in today's newspaper, a report survey done by Ipsos, that says that it's in the Star newspaper, that a number of Kenyans would like the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Professor Kamenyi, to be sacked, together with Ngilu and together with the former Minister for Labor.
Why would you want the Cabinet Secretary sacked?
I don't know. This Kenyans say.
It's not Kenyans, probably a few individuals.
That's a survey by an internationally recognized research group.
Then they shouldn't be able to say why they would want him sacked.
If you look at
I think one of the things we should look at is who are saying what and at what time. I've seen people stand up and they say, sack so and so. There's no reason. Probably you don't like the man's face. Probably you don't like the way he does his work. But ask, is he doing what he's supposed to do? At the moment, I think Professor Kamenyi is doing a fantastic job. I'm not defending him. But I've seen cabinet secretaries before, ministers of education before. And I've been in that ministry, at least I served that ministry for 30 years and 12 days. And therefore I have knowledge of what people can do. I think we have a fantastic minister, very honest, very truthful, and he stands by what he says. He does not just say, do this. I think he does his research. And he listens to those who are advising him. So I think if somebody says, sack the cabinet secretary, without any reason.
But you can see the conflict that he's having in all aspects. Say, for instance,
yes,
the Form 1 and the mission.
Yes.
He is blamed for the mess there.
Well,
that's one example.
No, the blame will always come to the head. So it will come to the head. He happens to be the head of the Minister of Education at the moment. But was it wrong? Was it wrongly done? If you ask me,
there was a lot of corruption, unlike before.
I'm not sure of any corruption, but I want to tell you this, that you have, take for example, you have 300 students who are these, and all of them are applying to go to Alliance High School. Likelihood is, Alliance High School cannot take all the A's, right?
Yeah.
So you don't see there is corruption because a few A's have been taken. We are also sensitive to what Kenyans want. Every part of this republic wants a child in Alliance. So probably every constituency wants a child in Alliance. And because of some inequality somewhere, you find that a child in Nairobi who is greatly advantaged will get 450 marks, and a child in Chuka, where probably you come from, will get 250 marks. But the people from Chuka are entitled to a place in Alliance. So you get that child. Therefore, when my son does not go to Alliance when he has 400, because he comes from Nairobi, and the child in Nairobi, the one who was taken on 450, I should not say it is corruption. It's not corruption.
So did you?
It is equity.
Did you? The question, the reason I'm asking you is that maybe because of your advisor's role, you are never hard at all. Your board is not hard.
Our board is hard and is recent too.
Not among the public.
Within the public, have you seen anybody complain about the National Education Board? If anything, somebody has said about the National Education Board is they have talked of what the National Education might lack. But not that the advisor has not been taken.
I'll give you another example.
Yes.
Of where probably the cabinet secretary may not be receiving proper advice. There's an issue today about the new regulations about how to hire head teachers.
Yes.
It's featuring in all newspapers today.
Yes.
We did not know it will come before we invited you, but it's there.
I've seen it. I looked at the newspapers in your reception.
The TSC and the corporate.
Yes.
They are saying they are not consulted.
I think
that these regulations, the CSE, Nyachai, says he was studying the regulations. Then they were published before his approval.
I think
which it claims to be unconstitutional.
Bwana Mutegi, you need to know the background to registration of the regulations. We met the stakeholders. National Education Board was one of them. TSC was there. NAT was there. Kupet was there. Health Association were there. All of them were there.
Why are
we discussed now? We discussed
Why is
them.
The TSC making
I want to give you the background.
Because they're saying they're going to court.
You can go to court. Why not?
Okay.
I've known people go to meetings, they agree to things, they sign things, and when they come from there, they say no. But I'm saying,
yes,
the regulations were discussed by the stakeholders. At least I attended personally 2 meetings, and the NAT, Kupet, health associations, they were there in those meetings. We went further. We released the same to the Attorney General. He made his comments. We released the same again. So there is no reason why they should not be gazetted. But let me tell you this. I think people bring politics on things which are not political. Let the Cabinet Secretary for Education run education. Let the unions influence his decision if they can. But let them not hold the ministry at ransom, say that you can't function because you have not consulted them. When you have consulted them, when you have met in various forums, including forums with the county education boards, and they have said yes. I think that should be very clear.
What's the relationship between the county education boards and you?
The county education boards are agents of the National Education Board. That's the major relationship.
But they are appointed by the county government?
No. They are appointed by the Cabinet Secretary. Yes. Education is a national function. So they are appointed to do things at the county level, initiate policies at the county level, bring them to the attention of the National Education Board and the Cabinet Secretary so that they are discussed and if accepted, they are implemented. But that's how it is. But they also work with the county governments in terms of pre-primary, early childhood education, childcare education, and village polytechnics, the youth polytechnics. They work in collaboration with the county governments. That's why, in fact, they are the county. So whatever policies they initiate at that level, they bring it up to the National Education Board and the Cabinet Secretary so that they are discussed and implemented or discarded.
When the O-level results came out from 4 results,
yes,
the Cabinet Secretary decided that he's not going to categorize schools and grade them and say this is, they abolished that.
Yes.
And he said it was recommended by that report from Keremi Mweria. And the teachers now are saying it was not recommended. Which is which?
Let me tell you, it's not a one-day decision. Way back in 2002, we had the Wangai report. I was a member of it. We went around this country looking at indiscipline in schools, or discipline in school for that matter. And one of the things we came up with is probably ranking of schools. Should stop. For example, as an education consultant myself, I've taught hands, I've talked to education fora many a time, and the people have suggested probably we're having problems in schools because of ranking. Literally, and normally there's nothing wrong with the ranking. We rank things every day. But if it's ranking which makes your child kill himself, if it's ranking which will make an education certificate being disregarded outside there in terms of employment because people are doubting the authenticity of it, then let's stop it. Let the schools compete among themselves. That you have come to this school, you must get out with an A, and we know you are an A school. You go to that school, you know it's an A school. You go to that school, but you do not have to go stealing exams because you want to be promoted to be, or you want to be given an award as the best teacher, when it is stealing. So it was not a question of...
but that, in the grading of schools, or not grading of schools, will not stop people from stealing.
Once you let the people know that you're not being given, say, a promotion because you are seen to be number one, that will look at your whole school, its performance, athletics, drama, football, academics, that we take all these things, then you'll be ranking in a different manner. And the people will be understanding. If you go to that school, you come out this. When you went to school, for example, you're in the schools which are known to be performing very well on the sciences. So, if you wanted your child to go and become a scientist, you take him to that school. If you wanted him to be a lawyer, you took him to a school where history and geography and the literature are very good. So you took him to that school. We are saying, let the schools shine like that so that they are known.
Not because of
stealing to be seen to be number one.
So, when you say grading, you don't grade schools, but you grade students.
It's not just
students get A and get E and...
Yes, but you have known in your whatever you got A. Just the way we know you scored 3 goals. That is common knowledge. That's common knowledge. All we are saying is we are not going to enable you to start stealing so that you can say you have defeated school A, school B, or so that school A can go to beat school C because they defeated them.
The lack of grading is only done by the ministry or the government. Otherwise, the newspapers, the press get all the results and grade them.
By the way, even at school level, the school will itself start analyzing what did we get here, what did we get here. It's grading. What are you saying? You are saying, in this one, we are ranking these teachers performed better than this, but you are doing it within your institution.
So what's wrong with doing it nationally?
It's the competition which is making you fight. We are stopping it.
But schools will fight, whether you grade or not grade.
The schools will not fight when they start realizing that you are not judging me just for this 1 hour academic work or this 1 hour test. That for 4 years I'm being judged. Then the cathedral's competition will stop. But excellence will remain. And the Good Assurance and the Standards Council will maintain those high standards in every school so that at the national level, when you're going to a university in UK or in India or in Australia, people know this Kenyan certificate is worthy the name it has. And that's what we are saying. You are not competing against yourself here nationally. You are competing internationally. And we are saying, what is it that makes you be seen to be competent internationally? Is that the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, which is accepted locally and internationally. And internationally it's accepted because the Kenya National Examinations Council is respected thus, and there is no stealing. So we are stopping any kind of thing which might make us not be successful. We've seen in this world, for example, in 1979, where the West African Examinations Council had problems. And their results would not be released to anybody. If you wanted to know your child's education or results, education results, what you did was write to the Examinations Council. The Examinations Council confirms the grade, and that was it. You never got any certificate. We don't want Kenyan education system to go that level. It took them very many years to be accepted. Those days everybody said these are. Now it is not these are. It's now these are some of the best in the world. And we are saying Kenyans should be seen to be the best in the world when it comes to that kind of thing.
What about the question of primary school? You talked about quality assurance.
Yes.
But if you go to primary schools, far-flung schools, there's no quality assurance. There's nobody who goes. School inspection, whatever used to be there. You used to see inspectors went to schools, maybe in a picky or driving. Who inspects schools these days?
We still have the quality assurance officers. They are not enough. In your time, we were few. In my time, we were few schools. And the inspectors could go around easily. Now we have 30,000 schools, Bwana. And the 30,000 schools, we don't have that kind of personnel. But you know that inspection is not just by the inspector. The only teacher at the institution is an inspector, the internal inspector. And he should be able to see the standards are met. When we go there from the headquarters, or the inspectors go from the headquarters, or from the district headquarters, they are going to see that the national standards are still being maintained. But we are lacking in staff at that level. I know that the Quality Assurance and Standards Council has been established. One of their functions is to employ adequate staff for their functions.
Somebody is questioning this new directive from the Cabinet Secretary that he appoints head teachers. Is that fair?
The Cabinet Secretary does not appoint head teachers.
That's what he proposed.
Please. You appoint head teachers as his agents.
Or as his agent. He's not the one to appoint them.
Head teachers are appointed by the TSC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But the Cabinet Secretary appoints them as
his
agents for purposes of finances in schools. Yes. And this is not new.
Yes, of course.
The DEOs were appointed agents of the TSC before the TSC became a constitutional commission. Yeah. There was nothing. They only got a letter from the TSC saying, you appointed this and for the following purposes: promotion of teachers, discipline of teachers, hiring of teachers, right? After that, the TSC did their functions. We are saying the Cabinet Secretary will appoint hands as agents for purposes of financing of institutions, so that if there is a query about misuse of finances, then the accounting officer is taken and asked questions.
Somebody is saying that still, despite the fact that there are regulations about school fees, some schools are charging 70,000, and they're giving example of the schools.
Let me say this. We gazetted, I'm aware that the gazettement of the school fees was done.
Yeah.
But it was done after
the
schools and levied the fees. we have the second term, the third term, to regularize this kind of thing. But I think you should also look at it this way. The standard fees is national. You could have variations, by the way. We have not had any variation. But I'm sure probably in the future, it's possible some head or some board will want to come and see the cabinet secretary and Mwambie, we cannot function. Look, take for example the case of a school like Lanana School. It stands on probably 300 acres of land. There are 4 kitchens, very many dormitories. You will not be able to compare it with a single stream school which has only one central kitchen, and I think they'll be able to offer the same services. There are schools with laundries, with swimming pools, but we are saying generally the Keremi report was very good. It's a good pointer. I'm aware also that the ministry even increased the Keremi's fee guidelines. I think that 1% or something to cushion in whatever. But you cannot accuse the ministry of having kept quiet when schools are charging 70, 80 or 90,000. I've given you the case of the Nana School. Yeah. And because I'm a parent there myself. We paid the fees in January. The settlement was coming in March. So what do you do?
You postpone the ministry. The ministry said you transfer them into the next.
I've said we have another 9 months. It's possible there will be guidelines on what should happen. There might be boards might meet and they say next time instead of paying that 1,000, you're going to pay 18,000. That's possible, isn't it? And they therefore say the fees was 60,000. You people paid that 1,000. We have that 1,000 for 2 times. Next time is 15,000. That time is 15,000. So let people not jam the queue before things have settled.
What is the status of the computers for Standard 1?
Computers for Standard 1.
Do you have any role to play in that?
No.
As a board?
We have not had any role to play. When we came in, the program was still on.
But the president appears to have.
But I know that the case is in court. That's all there is. That's all I can say. Unless the courts fast track it and finish with it, and then we'll continue waiting. If it's fast tracked, the ministry will be able to procure the computers and finish with it. Yes.
And what happened to the village polytechnics? And you talked briefly about them, but many of them, I don't know. I think there is a move to revamp them in counties.
And why not?
But I think the village politics we used to know, they are not there. We used to have places where
they are called village polytechnics. People did not like
the technology.
People did not like the names.
Or colleges of technology.
Colleges of technologies are there.
Many of them have been taken to university, became university. Kimathi.
Yes.
The one in Meru. They became a university.
The one in Meru did not become a university. Gitoro is still there.
There was one which was in
the one at
Inchelo, yes.
Is a university. Now is a Meru University.
Yes.
I think the intention at the moment is to stop universities usurping or grabbing tertiary institutions. But I know the Ministry of the State Department of Technical Training is revamping all polytechnics, national polytechnics. In fact, the intent is to have in every constituency a polytechnic. I'm aware also that the county governments are so much involved in development of education at their levels, and you can be sure youth polytechnics, they might be interested in what is given there in terms of putting up infrastructure I think that's the far I can say about the technical
When we
institutions.
took this middle level polytechnics and made them universities, were we suggesting that we don't need those
Nobody suggested you don't need them.
Like Kenya Polytechnic, for instance, becomes a university, Mombasa Polytechnic. What happens to the people who are being trained there to help if they surveyor? A surveyor needs a technical person.
Yeah.
A doctor needs somebody to help them. When you take them and make universities,
I think you should not dwell on mistakes of the past. Look at the future positively, because that's what will help. We should not probably have taken some of these institutions, but you know that in demand by the public, we are spending so much foreign exchange, sending people to India, Britain, Australia, UK, US, and people are saying, can we do it locally and save this amount? And so at that time then, the government that was in power decided, yeah, it's possible we can do this. It's possible we can save a lot of money in the future if we have more for our institutions locally. And I think that was the move. But you know that there are also institutions and the bonds which refused the institutions to be taken. And they stand. We have also seen parents go to court to stop the usurping or the grabbing of a college to make it a university.
for instance, the one you know, Embu Institute of Agriculture.
Yes.
Which was taken by the University of Nairobi. Now it's Nairobi University in Embu.
Yes.
That place was a very good place for training farmers.
Yes.
Now it's a university. Where are the farmers who are being trained there? Where are they going to be trained now?
I think I told you, please look at it positively. You also have other farmers' institutions which are not functional the way they used to be. You go there, they're also dilapidated because they were left to lot. Look at Kagulu, for example. You also know it.
Yeah, it was a very good farmers.
Very good farmers institution. Yes. But who has taken it?
Nobody.
So I'm saying, where people I think saw there was need, they need to take. If you look across the Embu Agriculture Institute, next to it is Kali. They're doing a very good job. Nobody has grabbed the Kali there. We are saying some mistakes were made, but also we have also success stories out of those. Out of those. I happened to have been the education attaché in London for 8 years. Then we had only 54 universities. Before I left, nearly every polytechnic was no longer a polytechnic. It was a polytechnic university. All the tertiary colleges in UK, all the tertiary, most of the tertiary institutions, they became degree awarding institutions. They wanted their children to access university education. I think we should not just condemn, because if we also want to raise the standards of education, there's no reason why you can't, for example, say every primary school teacher will be a graduate in education. And so you take him to a primary teacher training college, he stays there for 5 years or for 4 years, he comes out with a degree and he goes to teach in a primary school. So the system will have upgraded itself. The persons will have better skills, better academics, and they'll be able to impart knowledge and skills at a higher level. But the institution still remains and is offering the same education, except at a higher level. We should also look at our polytechnics in that manner, those which have become universities, that they are going to offer the same technical education, but at a higher level. What you might ask is, will they be giving out the technician? We are saying no. But I said, the State Department of Education, the State Department of Science and Technology is putting up those institutions, and it will see that this is done, and grabbing will not be there anymore.
With the coming of free education,
yes,
there's a general perception the standards of particular primary education has completely lowered. There are examples of research done to show that people in standard 6 students or primary pupils in standard 6 cannot do mathematics for standard 2, nor speak literacy or read. Is that not worrying that our education is gone down?
I don't think it's is that worrying. What we need to do is see that we maintain a momentum of high achievement, of imparting knowledge at higher levels, or spending more time with our students. I think what we have in the research you are quoting is that they are saying about 40% of the teachers don't go to class.
They don't teach,
yes, right?
Yes.
It's now upon the Quality Assurance and the Standards Council to see that this teacher remains in school. And once that is done, then there will be more contact hours between the student and the teacher. The performance will get higher, at least cognitively. And therefore, these problems, as time goes, will cease. But as of the moment, yes, true, we have challenges. As I said, we also don't have enough personnel to go around those institutions. And probably teachers have taken advantage of this. But they should not. They are professionals. They have taken their oath that they will remain professionals. What is it that is making them not? This is why somebody should be there to inspect them now and again. And the head teacher should have been there to raise the alarm first before we get people from outside to tell us, you know, your teachers don't go to school. As if really they don't go to school. They go to school, but it might be they're not imparting. They're not giving the child the time that the child requires. And we should insist that they do it. And I'm sure both the TSC, the Growth Assurance, the National Education Board, and the Minister of Education will collaborate to see that these things are done once and for all. That teachers will remain in school and they stay in school and they teach. You know, there's a difference of just going to school. You can go to school and sit in the staff room.
Yeah. The consequence of that.
But I'm saying, you go in, teach when it's your subject, go to your staff room, sit on your desk, do the marking, prepare for the next lesson, and throughout the day, you can account for your everyday minute.
One of the consequences of that poor teaching in school, public schools for instance, is that the mushrooming of academies. So in almost in every division, every location, there is academy. A private academy for parents who say, now look, this primary school is not teaching very well. So they take their children to a private school where they pay and the teachers teach. And therefore the students pass. So you have a public school here and an academy here. When it comes to selection of Form 1, the parents are the same, only these ones can afford to pay. They're in the same village. These ones will be able to pay the academy. These ones will go to a public school, which will not do very well. So when it comes to Form 1, you discriminate and say, apana, private schools will get this 40% or 30% of intake. Public schools, regardless of the fact that academies pass better than public schools. What's the fairness in that?
Let me say this. Those who establish academies or private institutions are businessmen and women.
Yes.
They want to make money.
Some of them are not even businessmen. Some of them are Christian schools.
That's all right. I'm saying
Catholic.
they're businessmen.
They are, no, it couldn't be.
Whatever you say.
It couldn't be a religious institution.
Even a religious education
they are not doing business.
Will charge. They don't give it free. I'm saying this.
They are not doing business.
Please, I've said this. The government has gone ahead and provided for free education,
which is not very quality.
Please, let me finish. The quality standards are set by the Quality and the Standards Council and the Cabinet Secretary. When you do your business, you've just identified an area where you can mint your money. The other school is where it's not a business. It is a public participation in the provision of education. And at that level, the government is providing the teacher, the government is paying for the teacher, the parents are providing the infrastructure, the other resources are provided for by the government. What is lacking is, will that teacher be there to teach every day? And I'm saying, once the Quality Assurance and the Standards Council has employed enough people, then we shall not have a problem. The competition will be between the public and the private. And if you find that your child can do better in a public school, you bring him to a public school. If you think you want him to specialize in a private school, take him to a private school.
But you know very well we are lacking about 80,000 teachers for those primary schools, public schools.
That's a national challenge.
So
that's a national challenge. By the way, even private schools don't have those teachers.
How come then they pass?
But they have better resources.
Yeah.
They are resourced better, and they can be inspected better. You are talking of, say, 1,500 against 30,000.
Yes. So I'm saying, why penalize them?
You are not penalizing anybody. When give them equal chance.
No. When it comes to Form 1 intake, you discriminate against them. So they make a lot of noise.
I think you must differentiate between equity of access. Equity means even the one who is deprived has equal right to go there. Has equal right to go there.
And me who sacrificed?
You sacrifice, I sacrifice?
No. I sacrifice.
Our resources are not the same.
I removed my child from that primary school which does not have teachers.
Yes.
To take him to a school which has a teacher.
But he passes and he will be taken to another school. Whereas probably if he stayed where you have taken him from, he might not have been accepted to any school. There is no child from a private school who has missed an institution because he comes from a private school. They always get the secondary school. In fact, they end up getting the best schools.
So how come they always...
I think what you are saying is at the national level, when it's national schools, you are saying we don't take all of them there. And I'm saying you cannot take all of them there. You must give them a quota, give the public a quota, so that there is equity of access. Whether you come from public or private, you have access. The
assumption is that the ministry, according to what people think, the ministry thinks that these from academies, those private schools, they are rich people.
No.
Which is not the case.
No. Most of the fellows who take their children to those academies are teachers themselves.
Yes.
They are not taking them because they think they are worse teachers. They are saying, I have an opportunity here, I can afford this time. Next day, you might not afford and bring the child back. You have seen it from your village. People have taken their children to private school today and tomorrow they have withdrawn them.
What are we going to do to improve public schools? Like, for instance, there was a school in Kibera.
Yes.
Olympic. Before education was free, made free. Olympic was doing very well. And many other schools, Nairobi School, for instance, Nairobi Primary School, they were doing very well. And many public schools in the countryside. But come free education, everybody went there. So they died.
Would you refuse them to go there?
No, but we need to maintain that level.
The standards we are maintaining, the numbers have become higher. Instead of having a class of 30 students,
we're having a class
of 45, 50,
no, 100,
even 50, right? At that level, the teacher is not able to concentrate at individual child level.
Hence the reason why I will take my child from that school to an academy, which has 30 students.
You can afford. That's why you are making that choice.
Then why should I be penalized?
You are not penalized. You are given equal chance with this other child who has gone to a class which has 100 students and is doing the same exams. We are saying, we'll give you a quota and we'll give this a quota. But you find that your quota, all of you go to secondary school when probably 20% have not been admitted from this other side.
Anyway, that debate can go on and on and on.
Yes.
But I think we are running out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Muteki. Asante sana.